Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Platformers live stream. And today we are going to talk about CNCF Working Group for Platform Engineering. And for us, we have one co-host for today. So Carlos Santana, Senior Solution Architect from AWS, is joining. How are you, Carlos, today?
Doing great. Looking forward to today's topic, platform engineering.
That's
How you
amazing. I know
doing?
you're very active, and thank you for joining me. Like it's fun for me to having someone join me for the co-hosting.
Sure. Looking forward.
Amazing. And we have our guest for today is Dominic Ress. Dominic is a product manager for Giant Swarm, but also very active member of the working group in the CNCF for platforms. Hey, Dominic, how are you today?
How you doing,
Hi
Dominic?
there. I'm great. I'm really looking forward to not just watching into a platformer stream, but actually being on the other side now. So let's see how that works.
Where you visiting us from? Where you located, Dominic?
I'm in
How's the
Berlin
weather?
in Germany, and the weather is currently not knowing what it wants. So it looks like rain, it looks like sun. Let's see what happens.
I,
Good, good. I'm in North Carolina, East Coast of US, and it's sunny over here. So summer is here for us.
that's perfect. Like I'm in Israel, Tel Aviv, and summer is here every day of the year. So that's
Well, that's unfair, yeah.
so that's perfect. Like when we started, like a few months ago, I remember I went to the CNCF Slack channel and I saw the CNCF working group for platforms, and I saw you there, Dominic, and maybe you can give us some for the audience joining us, like what is the CNCF working group for platforms, and what do you do there?
Sure. I mean the name is the program, right? So it's a working group that works on platforms. The initial idea behind it was that the platform terminology was brought up so often in the last few years, and especially I think the last KubeCon really showed it that the cloud native space, it really is some sort of a next evolution of the DevOps mindset, or however you want to tell it, however you want to call it. In general, I think platforms really are nearly everywhere already, and they are pretty complex when you want to create one. And there's a lot of things that still need to be discussed on, what good patterns are there. I mean, looking at Carlos, I think you're also active in Canoe, right? Which looks at a typical platform stack, which is also very interesting discussion. And in the working group platforms, the initial thing that really started, that sparked this whole working group, was a white paper on platforms that you can still read up in the CNCF space for that working group, which I think we'll also share later down the road. And in that, the question was like, what is even a platform, or what is platform engineering in specific in the cloud native space? And from that we started to begin talking more about the underlying concepts of platform engineering, and without doing the typical kingmaker thing from like, here's a stack, that's the tools, that's the platform, more to what is general ideas that are behind it. And from that, we then had like different outcomes already, like the platform maturity model, which also was very present in KubeCon EU in Paris already. Very good talks around that. So that's what we do there. We discuss different topics around platform engineering and basic concepts around it.
And Guy and me, we are CNCF ambassadors. So just to give context to the audience, what we're talking about is the CNCF, and there's in CNCF we have certain group structure. So we have platform working group comes from the cloud native tag app delivery, a technical advisor group called for app delivery, and it has certain working groups. Just to explain to folks, worker groups are something that it gets created to form from different end users of the technology of CNCF and also like vendors of it to come together and then work on a certain space. And the app delivery have been there for a while, and they have done things like artifact and operators. Both are created white papers, and then I think platform working group is the last one that it was formed around platform engineering, and it was like 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I think that the primary milestone was to create the group, and the first artifact was a white paper, right, Dominic?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the beautiful thing with those working groups is everybody can just join. It's completely open because, open source community and all that. So everybody can join in on the discussions and join the working group. Yeah, we also have a Slack channel, which is like the major means of communication there in the CNCF Slack in general. And yes, the platform white paper is definitely a first introductory topic to platform engineering in general that I can absolutely recommend everybody. I tend to quote it quite often in all of the talks that I do around platform engineering because like it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, there's probably if you ever have worked with platform engineering or the area of platform engineering, you will just say, yeah, I know all of that. But it gives you the perfect wording for it and like, frames and formalizes the ideas. And that's really nice. And yeah, and one major outcome that just before, like just last year, end of last year was released as the platform maturity model, the platform engineering maturity model, which also gives a bit more focus on what are milestones within platform engineering, that different levels that you can reach in different areas of platform engineering, because it can be such a big topic, right? And so that's a really nice guiding.
Exactly, like we know it's a big topic and everyone got like their own opinion around it. And what I'm just sharing the screen for the people in the audience, people at home that want to actually go and explore the working group. So if you go, as Carlos explained, you go into the Cloud Native App delivery tag, you can see all the working groups in here. Artifacts, operator, whatever you have. And this is the working group from platforms. You can find the charter, the working group Slack. So if you click on it, you will be redirected to the Slack. And on the left side, you got all the white papers. So let me open, for example, the platform white paper so people will be able to see. And you can download it here for free. You don't need to put your email address or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it was very good to do the white paper because that definition of why platforms and what is a platform. CNCF have been around for say 9 years. Kubernetes is going to be 10 years this summer. If people don't know, Kubernetes was the first project that joined CNCF, and kind of like I think it still is the primary project. Is the primary project of the CNCF, but 10 years ago, nobody was talking about platforms, right? We were talking about containers and VMs, and then Kubernetes became kind of like orchestrator. And I think recently, like maybe in the last 3 years, people start saying, "Is Kubernetes your platform?" Right? And then people are like, "Yes, what is a platform? It's Kubernetes." And some other folks are saying like, "Well, Kubernetes doesn't come with all bells and whistles, right? Like everything bad is included. You have to build a platform on top of Kubernetes." So Kubernetes is a platform or a framework to create platforms on top of Kubernetes, right? For running containers, orchestrating the containers. And then I think the white paper goes into like managing the dependencies of those containers and then where to run them as a platform. And it gets involved into DevOps. Like the white paper goes into like DevOps and platform, how they go together, and teams, right? The team culture.
Yeah, the general developer experience is a very important topic here. One of the major things that I find always like very interesting in this bit is like the platform terminology is really overcrowded, right? So I'm currently within Giant Swarm. I'm working on our observability platform. So there you have a platform already, and then we have like a Kubernetes platform as well, and a security platform. And what of those is now a platform? And the answer to that is all of those combined are like the platform again. So you can have a platform of platforms and terminologies of as well as that, making it absolutely complex. And then some people have completely different understanding of where is the level that we go into as a platform. And one interesting concept for me is always like also from within the white papers that we have there, that a platform is basically one single entry point that is a collection of different capabilities. So your initial platform should be focused around the developer experience and really make the developer experience as nice as possible. And one major point for that is that you can find everything in one place that you need for your developer journey there. And then you have different capabilities that that come into play and that are then explorable within your platform. And then it's the typical, so is Backstage a platform? Where you can just be like, no, your platform is the portal, which is Backstage, but also capabilities that are provided through that portal. So and that really, I think, is a very helpful definition of those platforms, or a frame of those platforms, because then you can say, all right, what's my journey, what's my capabilities that I provide to my engineers, and how can I bind them together into a coherent story that I want to tell to them, a coherent journey.
And
It's
then one point. Oh, go ahead, Guy.
Go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead.
No, I was going to see if we can go deeper on this first point. I think for the second topic that we have was platform as a product. What does that mean? Because I thought a lot of people think that is you're doing DevOps inside an organization, and your product is the software that you produce. Could be a website, it could be a bank app. That's the product, and the platform is like something to create that software and then release that software. But the platform as a product, what does that mean?
Okay, do you still want to say something?
No, that's
Okay.
that's the direction I want to take it. Go ahead.
Good. All right. So both of your questions, nice. Platform as a product is a really good buzzword for that. I mean, coming back to what I just said, it's like the developer experience is very relevant within platforms. So if you have a platform, internal or external, my case is, I guess, a bit special because our customers are actually platform engineers that use our platforms within Giant Swarm. But even if you're internal, and you're an internal platform provider for your enterprise or whatever, then your developers using that platform are also your customers, because they make sure that you get the money for your platform, you get the budget for it. And this change of this change into platform as a product and treating your platform like a product is a really important one. Within our maturity model, we identified that the typical shift between, like, it's a 4-level maturity model, and the typical shift between level 2, where your product is more like an ad hoc project that has, like, it goes for a year and there's no clear that clear of a value and money relation between that, to like level 3. If you scroll a bit up, you can see the table where we just give an overview over the different levels. Yeah, exactly, that table. That's like our typical maturity model. And you can see that, like, first stage is provisional. So, it's just, we need some sort of a platform. We need some sort of different capabilities within our corporation that are managed in somewhat of a central place. So that's like the very first maturity that most companies have to organize whatever sort of a platform. Then you set some dedicated, more centralized team onto it, and at some point, between level 2 and level 3, you treat your platform as a product that was identified as a typical very important step within your maturity, which is, it just shifts away from somebody gives me a ticket, and in a ticket they write, I need a Kubernetes cluster, to what's the underlying problem that they actually have, that we need to solve. They don't just need like 20 Kubernetes cluster, they potentially need like different environments for their dev and production clusters, or their dev and production environment. And then you just switch around, and you're not just working what people throw over the fence, but you actually proactively go on the hunt for what's the value that you can bring to your internal users, which are your customers in that end. And you talk to them, you find out what is the actual user experience, the user journey through your platform product, and then improve based on that, improve your product, and with that improve the value that your product, that your platform actually delivers. And that is really important in your platform maturity.
Yeah, I will just try to explain for the viewers like how to read the table, because
Sure.
what we did is that I switched on the behind the scenes from the previous white paper to this one. So the previous white paper was more focused on what definition of the platform, and when we moved to the majority model, it's a different white paper. You can get it on the working group too, and those are the pillars, and those are the levels.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just for people to understand how to read that. And Dominique, like what do you think is the main, like level 1 is pretty, I know, DevOps, like how we used to work like years ago. But when do you think is the biggest step or the biggest milestone, and that you gain the value of a platform by actually achieving this level?
I mean, the big thing with the maturity model is that you're not coherently, or potentially you're not coherently all in one level in every dimension of your platform, right? So in the investment part, you could be like in operational, but then your adoption is already intrinsic pull, or your people, your users can really participate in your platform, or in your platform development, so you can be even in optimizing there. So you can be in different states of the different dimensions, because as we said, platforms can be really big and really complex in that sense. So that's one important thing to say. And and the second thing is, it is not always viable that you always reach like level 4. So some companies could already be very happy with a provisional maturity of their platform, or an operational. I'm a bit biased here because I work within the product as a platform as a product initiative within the working group. So I really like, and I'm myself a product manager, so I really like treating your platform as a product, and I think switching also to a self-service solution for your customers, really putting the developer experience in the focus of your platform, that really kicks off your platform into really, really next level in how people will like it and how they will use it. So I always say, you know, the move to scalable or to level 3 is for me the most important for most of the use cases for internal platform engineering.
And one aspect, and then because the thing is, we use the word sometimes. Actually, we use the word platform to describe a platform, right? And it becomes very
Yeah.
abstract for some individuals. So maybe an example of tooling, for example, like if you are delivering software, maybe you in this container space, or let's say for Kubernetes, you may have inside your organization 3 tools or 3 things that you need to deliver that software. And one could be a Git server. And let's say that that organization cannot use any public provider or any public service, like everything in-house in servers and in computers, in laptops. So you need a Git server for 100 people, and you need a Jenkins to run CI/CD, and then you need another server to store the software, like artifacts. I store Maven, npm packages, container images, which are like new artifact. And if the organization is going to have those 3 services or tools inside the organization, is how much do we invest? Do we have 3 computers running those 3 services and that's it, right? So the first one is investment. Or do we have to dedicate 1 person or 2 people to support those 3 things? Do we treat it as a product? So are we going to like make sure that the Git server, the Jenkins is like free of security CVEs, right? I'll make sure that is running on the weekends, right? I'm just looking join the first row, or maybe we turn it off on the weekends to save money, right? So as a product, and then as a product is, can people open tickets and complain that the product like it's not working or they want enhancements? So I think that that's product thinking, right? And then the ecosystem optimizing is like, can we optimize these 3 services by moving to a better technology, right? From going from this Git product to this other one, or from the open source from a vendor, or optimizing like how do we utilize auto scaling to run those services, right? So that's the maturity level of investment, of how do you invest for those 3 services. So as the product is kind of the product thinking, like you need to invest with like hardware, computers to run that software, with people to actually like configure it, making it up and maintain it, and then with like those maybe individuals also optimize and running software to maintain that. So it becomes an internal service, right? Internal
Yeah.
platform to deliver the software. I'm not talking even running the apps or testing, just like 3 things, right? 3 basic things: Git, artifact, and the CI and a CI system. Can you describe more like a product thinking of like somebody has something like that? What is product thinking? Is that the product, or that's an internal product?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you already gave a great or put a great terminology on it, which is like the product thinking in the core of that. And you know, there is a big, as I already said, a big mind shift on how you treat this stack of components in general. Now, what exactly is it is already a very interesting question. Like, what is more behind that as a product thing? Um, as I already said, the very base of it is, you know, shifting your focus away from not just doing what, you know, your boss tells you, but really looking into what is actual value, like what's problems that my users have, talking to your users, and then using that feedback, and you know, dig deep to understand underlying problems and then solve those problems, not necessarily with those solutions that, you know, they recommend to you or they say they need, but solving problems. How exactly that looks like, what, you know, what tool, what pattern, what framework you can use, that's a different question, and that's why I already spoiled it a bit. We have this platform as a product initiative within the working group, and that initiative really looks deeper into what does this even mean, that buzzword, and really starts with a research on that topic. And that's also where all of the platformers can help, because we're currently starting with that research, and we start with some interview process, looking at what platform leaders and platform builders have as an experience. What tools, what frameworks, what mindset did they use to deliver their platforms successfully, and then hopefully we can learn out of that, like what is exact approaches, or like good use cases, good case studies that really showcase what's different if you do something as a product, and compared to other things. Because I could now assume a lot of things, right? I'm a product manager, so what you need is a vision, a clear vision for your platform, and what you need is you need you need a roadmap and stuff like that. But do successful platforms within organizations actually use all of that? That's something we need to find out in further research that we're currently planning.
We have a question from the audience.
Yeah.
So it's about the model. Just before we are moving into the future initiatives, like, can you give an example of how to actually use or implement this model?
The maturity model. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, one really good example, or one really good thing that you can do with it is like basically get a good overview on where you are. Use it as a model for yourself to just put yourself into the different levels in the different dimensions that we have there. And what you can also put in there is look at what what you want to achieve for it, like where you want to be, and then you have some pointers, because down in the white paper there's like also a bigger explanation of what those individual dimensions and really mean, or the different levels for those dimensions mean. And that can be really some pointers for you on how to work on. For example, let's go back to our level 1, which is financing. Carlos, you already got a really good example. You have like 3 different capabilities, 3 different services that are in your platform somewhat, and you can now identify with these teams, or the team, if it's just one, if it's even a team and not just capabilities brought in by different teams that work just part-time on that. And that's something, you just look through it, you look what closest explains your individual setup, then you pinpoint to that, and then you look at what would be an ideal state that you want to see your platform in, and then you pinpoint to that, and then you have some pointers down here with, for example, the characteristics on how you can improve and improve your maturity and reach the state that you want. And as I already said, sometimes it's not the last state that you want to achieve because it's not the most viable. Sometimes it's a earlier state, and sometimes in one dimension you can be really mature because that's a very important dimension for you when it comes, for example, to the adoption of your platform. But on the other side, like when it comes to investment, you don't really care that much about that dimension of your platform. So you're aiming for a lower maturity in there. And then from time to time, you come back, you track where you are, which characteristics closest fit to where you are, and that is how you can then track your progress on your overall journey.
I think it's amazing. It's amazing that you have defined in a very clear and concise way, so people can actually use that, because sometimes white papers got a lot of code, so you can copy paste. But these things is kind of a report that you first of all can create it, like to define what I am right now, what I want to be in a quarter from now, 2 quarters from now, and what level I want to get. Maybe it's something that you already have on the list, and so it's a white paper, and it's a very practical one in the way people can use it. This is what I like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's, that's the difficult one. It's not code that you can copy, because I really truly believe that a platform always has to fit your specific organizational context. And so there's no, like, it's very rare that there's one platform that fits all sizes. That's also my biggest issue with Backstage. Always, if somebody says we just do Backstage and then we have our platform, I have to say no, because your governance might be different than the governance of Spotify, for example. You need different capabilities in a different way. So your platform journey will always be very unique to your organizational context. And that's why this white paper, cannot give you all the answers, but it can give you a direction. And I think that's done really well with the maturity model that we have there.
That's amazing, and I encourage people to go and explore. Like, we did a little bit of overview, and we share screen a little bit of the model and a little bit of the platform's white paper and definition of platform. I really encourage you to go and explore those. We will add the links to all of the white papers. Everything we shared on the screen, we will add the links, so you'll be able to download, use it, and read them.
Yep. And then you can do your own assessment in your organization, right? On the key questions on every investment that you do, or adoptions, or interfaces, to see how you're doing on platform engineering. And there's research, right, Dominic, happening soon, or collecting information of from end users, CNCF end users, that basically helps like other end users to know like how other people are doing platform engineering that I can learn. And usually people are kind of shy to share that information. Can you tell us a little bit more about the research and how those interviews are going to be done?
Sure. So, we talked a lot about the maturity model now, but, and how it gives directions and characteristics. But as I already said, like, some of those points are still pretty vague. So we need to put more meat on it. And I'm saying that as a vegan, but no matter. So, you need to bring more context and more direction into that, like more details. One thing that we also already talked about is like this as a product change, which is a really important one, and a really big one. We also had before KubeCon, we had KubeCon Paris. We had this platform coffee early in the morning. I think you also joined one, Carlos,
Yep.
right? Which was like 7 in the morning, whoever had that idea. But a lot of people came, and that shows again how big the topic is. And a lot of people were discussing around the topics of like, what does product even mean? And that led to this initiative that we said, all right, let's dive deeper into the question of what is platform as a product, and really do some research around that topic. There's 2 major outcomes that we are currently working on. One was that we learned that we have a lot of assumptions on what people understand as product thinking, for example, and that people already know you should talk to your users, and you should learn from your users. But that was sadly something that not everybody understood already. So there's some maturity again. So we're working on a blog post series to really discuss the topic on what is product thinking and how you can use product thinking within the space of platform engineering, but very basic. And then there's the other topic on, within the platform maturity, what is actually an approach, an as a product approach within platform engineering that is working out for a lot of organizations and is working out for successful organizations. And that's something that we want to find out with interviews that we do. Like we created an interview script and have like this whole neat little interview process. We also have a graphic that shows how we want to do the research in general, because it's a very interesting topic for for the CNCF in general, how we can do research, like interview-based research.
So
And
give me 1 second and I will share it. Sorry, my
sure,
browser
sure.
just crashed, so all my tabs gone. So give
Oh,
me
you
No
have the
a
link?
problem.
minute just to show my screen.
No problem. So yeah, so in
So
general, the idea behind it is that we interview different platform builders and platform leaders, um, you know, end users that build up platforms, and just find out how they approach different things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to understand your platform as a product. And we don't really use the product term in there as well in our questionnaire, but it's like going into different parts and how you do your investment, like how do you do your communication with stakeholders, how do you align different capabilities with different teams and stuff like that. So the outcome of it will definitely be some insights in potential product management within the platform engineering space. And yeah,
I have a theory, Dominic, and maybe when the research is done, we can see if my theory is wrong or right. And
sure.
my theory is that you said that these platform teams in charge of like building the platform internally don't know much about product or product thinking. And my theory is because they are inside a large organization and there's another team or organization that is in charge of delivering the product of that company, right? So, and even to the sales organization that deal with customer and dealing with customer experience, like customer obsessed of like dealing with our customer, that interaction with customers or customer consumers, like in that they have the experience, and this product team is building software. So that organization maybe has good product because it has good customer experience coming from good documentation for the consumers. Consumers can ask questions, find what are the next features in the next roadmap. When the customer first interaction type of thing. So when they first use the product, a week or 2 days later, they get an email for like follow-ups or surveys, right? And then measuring our like customer using it, are they making value? Like all that information usually or knowledge is from the people that build products and sell products, like sales organization. Like how do you get more customers or how do you retain the customers that are happy? And in this other organization is creating software. So their consumers or customers are like developers or engineers, and they don't have this muscle, right, that this organization have.
Mhm.
So that's, I think that's my theory, like that within the organization, if there's like more communication channels, this part of the org can actually like teach this other part of the org, telling them like, well, your consumers are the developers, give them good docs, give them good ways of like requesting a new feature or enabling a new feature, get them access a link where they can read the roadmap of like what are we going to ship or deliver next year or end of the year. Give them better user experience. Treat it those customers may be upset because platform is slow or it doesn't have some feature that they're looking for. Well, they don't know because they are not interacting or doing the survey or asking them or involving them of like the next version of the platform is going to contain these features. Why? Because we talked to consumers and they told us they want it. That's mindset, I think, is on one part of the org, but not on this part of the org, which is the platform team, making sure that IT is secure, that networks are connected, that people can access the servers, right? So I think that's my theory. I don't know. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot interesting things to find out. For example, I assume that talking to users is so much easier for platform teams because your user are internal, engineers. You know them. You were on the last Christmas party, drunk a couple of beer with them. So talking to them should be way easier, and getting feedback from internal users should be way easier than, for example, getting in touch with external customers where some sales is in between, or some solution architects. So that also is an assumption that we need
You
to verify
it's
there.
I'm verifying it every time I give a talk. Oh, like I don't give that many talks, but when I
Yeah,
give a talk on CNCF or DevOps conferences, I usually say like, "How many are platform engineers?" And a lot of people ask,
yeah,
answer, raise their hands, or DevOps engineer. Okay, in the last meeting that you had, like talking about improving the platform, how many developers were sitting in that meeting? And people say no developers. So if there's no developers, that's your consumer should be in that meeting,
uh,
right? It's not that easy to get that platform team talking to developers as you assume. Different
yeah,
orgs
yeah.
have boundaries, right?
But
It's
but on the other side, it's also always interesting because developers are so used to having roadblocks everywhere, in especially bigger organizations and enterprises, that they've become really good to circumnavigate, every roadblock that governance or internal revision or whatever team throws at them. And if your platform also becomes just another roadblock for them because you don't talk to them, and they
Yep.
will find ways to work around it, and then you
It's
have lost
like
it.
a river,
yeah.
right? They will
Yeah,
go with the less friction.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. And then you definitely have lost the battle there, because if you don't get the adoption rate within your organization, then
Adoption is key. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Cool.
I have to
So we
say,
see the graphic here for the research, which is also pretty interesting because how do you do research within open source that is GDPR compliant and like anonymous and all of that. I'm German, so GDPR pretty important for me as a topic in general, and data protection can't have enough data protection. So what we're doing is like we have different interviewers of people that are interested in doing interviews, and then we have different interviews. I think you added into the link list as well that we have
Yep.
a form where you can just sign up, and yeah, exactly. There you can just sign up, give us some information about your general context, and then we can get you into our pool of interviewees. And then you get matched with somebody who's doing the interview. They have a script that is generally prepared so that we have like comparable results throughout all of the interviews. If you want to also, be part in the interview, or help shape the script, you can always join the working group and the working group discussions there. But in general, script is given and all that. So you get a couple of questions. It's like around 30 minutes for an interview that we set up. And then whoever is responsible for the interview, he's also responsible for anonymizing all of the data, making sure that nothing is like retractable back to your organization or to you, so that everything is in an anonymous form that gets collected in a central place where only the leaders of the research then have access to, which, for example, I'm one part of it. It's like a very small group. We verify all of the anonymization and all of that, and then bring it in a form that we can actually start working on it, and then a different team that can consist of the same people, but like a different team is then working on getting good insights out of the research results. yeah, that's the part of the research. So everything is also very anonymous, and we put a lot of focus on data protection there as well. But on the same time, like, we also, you can also share your stories more openly, and we can look at case studies and things like that as a follow-up. But for the research, we're really looking into comparable results, and then make sure that those are anonymous as possible.
I think it's amazing to see that, like, people always thinking about open source contribution and how they can help. There are like a lot of varieties of how you can help to make a progress. And if you want to make a progress in platform engineering, making sure that your like opinion matters and people will listen to what you have to say, and you would go into that research. I think it's amazing opportunity to contribute to the open source community, but without going into issues or code. Just go into fill in the form, put in 30 minutes for a meeting for interview, and that's it. And this is amazing way, because the next platform white paper will be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone was asking like how to use the maturity model. So maybe this is a free way, an easy way in 30 minutes, right? You can evaluate yourself of like getting a scorecard of like, I'm level 1 here, level 2 here, level 3 here. And you can go back to your organization saying, I had a 30-minute meeting with a working group, and these are our levels, here are our grades, how we're doing, and where do we need to improve.
Yeah, and it's also giving back, right? So you can give us a half an hour of your time, and you get all of the stuff for free, right? And
Yeah.
you help shape it, and that's really important, because like all of that information, that's the relevant part that informs all of our work. Everything else would just be guessing. So in that sense, this data is a very, very important contribution, or your experience is a very, very important contribution to those working groups.
Amazing. So we almost ran out of time. Any last words or something last that you would like to share, Carlos, Dominique?
Carlos?
I think check out the form and submit. Like 30 minutes can help you a lot with talking with some of these experts. Like these are experts that are doing platform engineering, or vendors, or they have experience in this area. So I think take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can just sign that. I would be really happy to see a couple of platformers in there as well. And I can promise you, I can come back with any interesting research results, and then we can talk about the results of that research. And yeah, see what we can learn out of it.
We would love to
Yeah.
review together the results of the white paper and the research, and we would love people to join the research. We will also post that in our newsletter.
Yeah, it'd
So
be interesting to see those that have a good grade, right? What are the things that they're doing so we can copy them?
But also for those who have like a bad grade, like what's anti-pattern is also always important.
Yeah, true.
cool, amazing, Carlos, Dominique. It was a pleasure to be with you today.
Richard.
Thank for everyone for joining and watching. Make sure that you sign up for the forum, and making sure that you're getting involved with the working group platform in the CNCF community. And that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, very much. Bye bye. See you next time next week at the next live stream.
Yeah, next live stream. See you,
Bye,
folks.
everyone.